Good.
Do you hear that?
Yep.
Okay, good. So hi, Nicola. I'm happy to have a chance to see you. Thank you for agreeing to talk with me about the Internet of Things and innovation. To begin, I understand, as we can see from the background, that you work for the World Economic Forum. Could you tell me what the World Economic Forum is and what it does?
Yeah. Thank you, John, and thanks for having me. And great to speak with you. You're right. I work at the World Economic Forum. The forum, as we call it, is the foremost organization for public-private collaboration. And so, really, what the forum does is it brings together different stakeholders from around the world. It brings together the public sector, governments, the private sector, academia, civil society, nonprofits, and the idea is that with all these different stakeholders having discussions around issues on sustainability, inclusion, and other challenges that the world is facing, that the solutions can apply to a wide range of people across different geographies, socioeconomic classes, and really driving towards addressing some of these major challenges with all these different players in the room.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
we have different meetings that we hold around the world, bringing together these people, but we also have different initiatives that we're driving towards to have a greater impact.
Uh-huh. Great. What specifically does the World Economic Forum have to say or about the Internet of Things?
Yeah. So, one of the major areas of that the world is facing today is the adoption of different technologies, and one of those, the most emerging of those technologies, is around the Internet of Things. Different objects and devices being connected to the different networks, and being adopted in different environments, whether that's our homes, critical infrastructure, like power and distribution, and then also our work environments too. And really, there are different types of potential risks out there posed by these technologies, and the forum is trying to understand, what should we be considering, as these technologies are being, adopted, and oftentimes we see that consumers, people around the world, don't really have a say really when it comes to what different technologies are coming to use. So the forum's role is really to convene these different stakeholders, including consumer advocacy groups. How can we mitigate some of those risks, and what should we be considering from maybe even a regulatory standpoint around some of these issues that we might face, like cybersecurity, privacy, sustainability, and others.
What would the kind of recommendations be for privacy, let's say? What are the risks and dangers, and what advice or recommendations could be made concerning them?
Yeah, completely. So, IoT brings a lot of different issues and concerns around privacy. I think recently, some, baby monitors were actually hacked by, different groups, and it's really concerning if you have someone hacking into a baby monitor, listening to what's going on into your own home, or even if you have a doorbell that has a video camera and you're able to see what's going on outside of your house, but maybe even inside of your house as well. So I think the issue around privacy is really important. One of the things that the forum is taking on is to, we brought together different stakeholders. We brought together consumer advocacy groups. We brought together technology companies and a hacker community to put together a joint statement that says,
Uh,
here are the 5 baseline IoT security um, standards or specifications and capabilities that every IoT manufacturer should really
uh,
adopt and have in place.
uh-huh.
Um, and we've seen, so far, different government agencies coming in and supporting the statement, endorsing it.
Mm,
And then we also have several different IoT product companies, whether that's IoT like lighting companies. We have Google and others, also supporting this and saying, okay, we agree that having these cybersecurity capabilities are important so that we
mhm,
can better secure and make sure that different privacy and security is addressed in each of these
mhm,
devices.
mhm. Um, that leads me to a question about the kind innovation and do you think that having these standards would put a damper on innovation, let's say in creating uh, door front security systems,
Yeah,
video specifications or uh, other things like that?
that's always the challenge when it comes to
Okay.
technology is,
Uh-huh.
what is the right amount of regulation standards that should be in place
Mhm,
to really, you know, um, make sure that progress is being made in terms of safety and security,
mhm,
privacy, but also allowing future innovation to take place and occur as well. This is always a right balance.
mm,
The EU, for example, is more leading on regulatory, and standards. But then we also, you can think of standards as a way to move the needle on certain capabilities that the industry can come to agreement on. And
uh,
if we take, for example, the smart home space,
uh-huh.
there's a standard called Matter, and really, it's one of the challenges that we've seen in the past is how do you know companies agree on certain network protocols within the home,
Mm,
uh, and you may have heard of Bluetooth,
mhm,
Wi-Fi. There's another one that's on. It's a personal area network, but basically a standard that all devices within your home can communicate
mhm,
and be interoperable with one another.
uh-huh.
And really, that's kind of the standards that are helping accelerate adoption of IoT and
Uh,
bring many different stakeholders to the table that can actually move adoption
uh-huh.
um, in the right way.
So once a standard's been established, it kind of creates a roadmap for future development and allowing for more sustaining and perhaps incremental innovation. Does that sound about right?
That's exactly it. I think what you said right there, incremental innovation,
Uh-huh.
it's exactly what the Internet of Things and it's how it's really moving forward in innovation is this
Mm-hmm.
incremental approach.
Uh,
We see the increments of 3G, 4G, 5G
mm-hmm.
networks. If you've heard of Moore's law,
Uh-huh.
um, the acceleration of processors and chips and the amount of computing that they're able to do. It's really a combination of all these incremental steps forward. And,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30, 40 years, we had the mainframe.
Yeah.
It then became more distributed to desktop computers. And now we're seeing that sort of same processing and computing going down to
Mm-hmm.
individual objects, which is what we call now the Internet of Things, and maybe call it
Mhm.
something different in the next decade or so. But yeah.
Uh-huh. Well, concerning sustainability, um, does the topic come up concerning power, generation and availability and usage? I mean, there must be protocols in place in the event of a loss of power or electricity, and backup systems, and et cetera, et cetera. Is that part of the conversation as well?
Yeah, it is. Sustainability is it's actually gained quite a bit of, we've been talking quite a bit more about sustainability over the past few years,
Oh, okay.
especially with, the recent, reports that have coming around from the, Intergovernment Panel on Climate Change,
Uh-huh.
the importance on how do we really use, Internet of Things and related technologies to basically track more data around what's going on operationally,
Mm-hmm.
and understand what we can do with that data to reduce the amount of
Mm.
emissions or wastes in water. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, one of the major you know shifts we're seeing is uh, the shift from these more analog water and utility meters,
Uh-huh.
where you have someone come in and check how much your electricity has been used. You've used electricity in the past month or so. Now these are all becoming digital, and we have
Mm.
these wide wireless networks that can track how much electricity is being used
Mm-hmm.
on a hourly basis.
Mm-hmm.
And now with all of this different data that we are collecting, you're able to understand, at what times of the day more
Uh,
energy is used, what impact the weather has,
uh-huh.
if you have electric vehicle, how much of that is, being pulled from the grid, and how can we better manage that with different solar energy that's
Mm.
being collected on your rooftop. So there's a lot of these different data points that were being collected,
Uh-huh.
and it's trying to understand what is um, how can we increase that efficiency to then reduce the impact on the grid. And a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
topics were tying into sustainability, and businesses are doing the same,
Uh-huh.
across the value chain as well. So
Uh-huh.
um, yeah, quite a bit of work being done in sustainability space too.
Well, I have one question, maybe a curveball for you. Um, the way things are now, the grid itself is very fragmented, meaning a lot of different geographical areas generate electricity to different agencies, and for example, in the United States, and California has its own agency, and regions have their own kind of supra agencies, and et cetera. So I want to throw out a kind of utopian potential. Do you see any possibility of a global grid of some kind that is would reduce uh, international friction over electricity generation and usage, without it being a kind of authoritarian top-down um, uh, tool for government to manipulate?
Wow, that's quite a way to finish off this conversation, and
Yeah,
I love the question,
sorry.
because this brings out so many different ideas that are, you know,
Oh,
uh,
sorry about the sirens in the background too.
yeah, that's, I mean, you know,
Is it even? Let me make it just easier. Is it even a topic of conversation? Has
it is.
anyone made this proposal or discussed it?
you know, the way of I've heard this sort of topic being discussed,
Oh,
is more of a, it's like a distributed energy approach,
uh huh.
where it's, you know, I hear there's a centralized approach where how do we create, collective energy? How do we pull a grid that is able to power all of the necessities we have around the world? And uh, I think that, that's on one end. We have this more centralized approach. On the other, we have a distributed approach,
Uh,
which is, how can individuals, who are collecting, you know, uh, their own power, and where they don't need it themselves, they can also,
uh,
um, feed it back to the grid, or,
uh-huh.
but I am interested. This is, having, I think I think you raised it though. What is this kind of centralized approach that to power that also makes it so that there is no one, authority, so one person that's not in control,
Uh-huh.
um,
Uh-huh.
or if there is, how do we collectively, you know, manage that,
Uh-huh.
and understand the risks involved with
Yeah. Yeah.
having, a central power, uh, in control of all of these resources that help society, yeah, function and all that.
Well, that would, let me just summarize by saying that would absolutely be a transformative innovation in the way the world works. Wouldn't you agree?
Completely, 100, yeah, percent. Because yeah, I think, you're on, yeah, the power, energy is what really supports economies and societies. So there would be a lot of pull from that area. So yeah.
Okay, well, great. It's been great talking with you, Nikki. Thank you very much for your time. And I wish you the best in your future work, et cetera. And hopefully maybe we'll check in again next year with next year's students.
That sounds great. Thank you, John, so much for having me. It was great
Okay,
to
you're
talk.
welcome. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.